As Daniel shared his painful journey, Michael felt the gravity of his friend's experiences sink in. He hadn't known the full extent of Daniel's struggle, and hearing it now, he felt both sadness and admiration for the man sitting beside him. They sat quietly, letting the silence speak for them, until Lily's laughter pulled them back to the present. Lily had found a stray cat, its fur scruffy yet somehow charming. She was giggling, trying to coax it with bits of leftover food. The cat, cautious yet curious, inched closer, drawn by the scent. "Look, Dad. Can we keep her?" "She looks like she needs a friend too," Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with hope. Daniel managed a gentle smile, his gaze softening as he watched his daughter. "She's beautiful, Lily. But we don't even have a home yet ourselves." Lily's face fell momentarily, but Michael, watching the scene, had an idea. "Actually, Lily, if your dad agrees, the restaurant could use a bit of life. We could keep the cat here, let her roam freely, and you two can visit her any time," he suggested with a glimmer of mischief. Lily's face lit up again, and she nodded eagerly. Daniel, sensing Michael's subtle attempt to lift his daughter's spirits, agreed. "All right, but you'll have to make sure she doesn't get into too much trouble," he joked. Over the next few days, Lily's enthusiasm for the cat, now named Whiskers, brought a small burst of joy to the restaurant. Michael noticed that Lily's attachment to the place brought a strange, comforting presence to the otherwise empty dining room. He observed her and Daniel spending more time there, helping where they could, and the three of them slowly became a team of sorts. One evening, Michael called Daniel aside. "I've been thinking about your offer to help, and I might have an idea," he began hesitantly. Daniel leaned in, curious. "What if we host a community dinner here? You've told me how hard it is for many people to make ends meet, especially families with kids. We could make it a pay-what-you-can event, or even free for those in need. If we're going to go out of business, we might as well go out helping people." Daniel's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "That's brilliant, Michael. It would bring people here and remind them of the good the restaurant has done. Besides, who knows, maybe they'll bring their friends and family next time." They spent the following days planning, gathering supplies, and spreading the word. Lily, thrilled at the prospect, took it upon herself to make posters, her colorful, childish handwriting proudly announcing the event: free community dinner at Michael's place, bring everyone. As the night approached, Michael found himself nervously setting up tables, arranging plates, and fussing over details he'd long stopped caring about. Daniel, noticing his friend's anxiety, reassured him. "Trust me, Michael. People will come, and they'll be grateful." The first to arrive were some of the regulars from the alleyway, a few hesitant, unsure of the reception they'd receive inside the restaurant. Michael greeted each of them with a warm handshake, his stern expression softening as he welcomed them in. Soon, families from the neighborhood started trickling in, curious about the event and drawn by the scent of home-cooked meals wafting through the door. As the restaurant filled, the atmosphere transformed. Laughter echoed, conversations flowed, and for the first time in months, Michael's establishment felt alive again. Lily played with the other children, running between tables with Whiskers darting after her, adding a touch of unexpected charm to the evening. Halfway through the night, Michael noticed an elderly couple sitting quietly in the corner, both looking around in wonder. He approached them and learned they had once been frequent customers but had stopped coming when they could no longer afford to dine out. Touched, he brought them their meal himself, ensuring they felt welcome. As the evening wound down, a man approached Michael, introducing himself as a journalist. "I heard about what you're doing here, and I'd love to write a story about it for the local paper," he offered, his tone genuinely appreciative. This could bring attention to the restaurant and maybe even help save it. Michael was taken aback, glancing at Daniel, who nodded encouragingly. "If it helps the community, then yes," Michael replied, his voice steady yet hopeful. In the days that followed, the article went viral, drawing people from all over town. Some came out of curiosity, others out of admiration for Michael's generosity. The pay-what-you-can dinners became a weekly event, and the restaurant's reputation for kindness brought in a steady stream of patrons, some of whom even offered to help financially. One evening after another successful event, Michael pulled Daniel aside. "I never imagined we'd be able to turn things around like this," he admitted, his voice filled with gratitude. "You and Lily brought a light to this place that I had long forgotten. If it weren't for you, I'd have given up." Daniel, humbled, smiled. "You gave me and Lily a place when we had none, Michael. This was the least we could do." As they cleaned up together, Michael spoke with renewed optimism. "I've been thinking, Daniel, with business slowly picking up, I could use some help around here. How would you feel about working with me, officially?" Daniel was stunned, realizing that this could be a fresh start for him and Lily. "Are you serious?" he asked, barely containing his excitement. "Absolutely. You've shown me what it means to care for others. And besides, the community knows you now." "They trust you," Michael replied warmly. Daniel accepted, and in that moment, his long journey of hardship and uncertainty found a new direction. Together, he and Michael continued hosting the community dinners, expanding their vision to provide a haven for anyone who needed it. The restaurant had become much more than a business. It was a sanctuary, a place of hope, resilience, and second chances. And through it all, Daniel and Lily finally felt they had found a home. As dawn began to seep through the city, Daniel remained on the park bench, his thoughts churning like a relentless tide. Lily had fallen asleep again in his arms, her small body curled up against his, completely trusting him for warmth and safety. Despite his exhaustion, Daniel stayed awake, watching the city's early stirrings, hoping against hope for a change, an opportunity to emerge that might lift them out of this hardship. The silence was soon interrupted by the distant hum of early commuters and the soft rustle of leaves as a mild breeze swept through the park. Just as Daniel began to drift off, lulled by the city's waking rhythm, a familiar voice startled him. "Daniel? Is that you?" It was Michael, who was out for his morning jog. His face showed a mixture of surprise and concern when he saw the state Daniel and Lily were in. Approaching them carefully, Michael spoke softly, not wanting to wake Lily. "What happened? Why are you here like this?" Daniel glanced down at Lily, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face before looking back up at Michael. "We had to leave," he murmured. "The shelter we found wasn't ours to claim. They made us go." Michael nodded, understanding the unspoken details. After a brief pause, he reached into his bag and pulled out a sandwich and a small carton of milk he had brought for himself. "Here, it's not much, but it might help." Daniel took the food with a grateful nod, waking Lily gently. Her eyes fluttered open, and when she saw the food, a tired but relieved smile spread across her face. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered, quickly taking a small bite of the sandwich. Watching her, Daniel felt a swell of gratitude, but also a renewed determination to find a stable place for them. Michael seemed to sense Daniel's inner turmoil. "Listen," he said, leaning closer. "I've got a friend who manages a community center a few blocks from here. They sometimes let people stay for a few nights if there's nowhere else to go. It's warm, and they serve meals. It's not a long-term solution, but it might give you a few days to rest and plan." The offer was a lifeline Daniel hadn't expected. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, gripping Michael's hand. But Michael just shook his head. "No thanks needed, Daniel. You've always been there for others. Now it's time for someone to help you." With renewed hope, Daniel gathered their meager belongings, and together they set off with Michael toward the community center. Lily, now holding Michael's hand and nibbling the rest of her sandwich, seemed to brighten at the thought of a safe place, even if just for a few nights. When they arrived, they were welcomed by the warmth of a space that, while modest, felt like a haven. The center's manager, Mrs. Jenkins, a kind woman with a welcoming smile, assured them that they could stay until they figured out their next steps. Lily immediately took to the cozy corner with blankets and pillows, and soon she was fast asleep, her small face peaceful for the first time in days. Left alone with Michael, Daniel finally allowed himself to open up about the fears that had haunted him. Every night I lie awake, wondering how I'll protect her, how I'll give her a better life, and every day I face the reality that I can't. It's hard to stay hopeful. Michael placed a reassuring hand on Daniel's shoulder. You're doing all you can, and that's more than most. Look around. There are people who care, who want to help. You don't have to face this alone. Daniel sat in silence, feeling the weight of Michael's words. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he allowed himself to imagine a future where he and Lily could finally be safe, where he could give her the childhood she deserved. With a final look at his sleeping daughter, he felt a glimmer of hope ignite within him, small but bright enough to guide him through the darkness ahead. As morning turned to afternoon, Daniel found himself reaching for a piece of paper and a pen, writing down the steps he could take, applications for job programs, contacts Michael suggested, and resources he could turn to. With each word he wrote, he felt the pieces of a new plan coming together, a path that might finally lead them towards stability. And though their journey was far from over, Daniel knew they had taken an important step. Holding on to hope, no matter how fragile, was his only choice now. For Lily, for the future they both dreamed of, and for the promise of brighter days ahead. As Emma spoke of her dreams, her face softened, and her eyes grew distant, lost in thoughts of melodies and rhythms. Daniel listened intently, sensing a kindred spirit in her passion for art and expression. Music? Huh? That's a beautiful dream, he murmured. It's rare to meet people who have such clarity about what they want in life. Emma smiled, a little bashful. It's not easy, though. My father has always been supportive, but running a restaurant is all he's known, and he hopes I'll carry on his legacy here. Sometimes I feel torn between the life he's built and the life I want for myself. Daniel looked down, understanding all too well the weight of unfulfilled dreams. I know what it's like to set aside what you love for survival, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He looked over at Lily, who was happily slurping her soup, blissfully unaware of the adults' heavy conversation. But sometimes life has a way of leading us back to our passion, even if we take detours. Emma nodded thoughtfully, taking in his words. Maybe that's true. This restaurant means the world to my dad, but I know that if he could see a future for it, he'd be able to relax and let me chase my own path. A spark of inspiration flickered in Daniel's mind. You know, Emma, this week is our chance to give your father a reason to hope. Maybe we can breathe new life into this place together, bring back some customers, and help him realize he doesn't have to give up his dream for yours to come true. Emma's eyes lit up at the idea. You really think we could do that? I do, Daniel said confidently. We just need to make the restaurant a place people can't resist, a place that not only fills their stomachs but their spirits too. I used to work in advertising, and if there's one thing I know, it's how to tell a story that captures people's hearts. Emma grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. What do you have in mind? Daniel leaned in, lowering his voice conspiratorially. First, we'll start with an event, a music and memories night right here at the restaurant. You can perform your music, and we'll create a cozy, nostalgic atmosphere that feels like home. People crave connection these days, and if we can make this place feel special, they'll come back. Emma's face lit up, but a hint of doubt crept in. But what if no one comes? What if it's just us and an empty room? We won't let that happen, Daniel assured her. We'll reach out to the community, spread the word online, and offer a few small perks to draw people in. Free samples, a raffle with a dinner for two prize, maybe even a little dance floor for couples. We'll give them a reason to step in and fall in love with this place. Emma's smile grew wider, her hope revitalized. I could ask my friends to come and bring their families. And maybe Dad's old regulars. Some of them are still in town. They might come for one last evening if they knew about it. Daniel nodded, excited by her ideas. Exactly. Together we'll remind them why they love this place in the first place. And who knows, maybe we can turn one event into something lasting. As they finished their meal, Lily began to drift off to sleep, her head resting against Daniel's shoulder. Emma gently draped a blanket over her, and Daniel mouthed a silent thank you. The next day they got to work. Daniel spent hours crafting social media posts, capturing photos of the restaurant's homey decor, and writing heartfelt messages that told the story of a family-owned business at a crossroads. Meanwhile, Emma reached out to her musician friends, arranging a small band for the event. She even convinced a local bakery to donate pastries for the evening, promising them free promotion. As the week went on, Daniel could feel the restaurant coming alive with a renewed sense of purpose. Each morning, he and Emma strategized, while Lily helped decorate the tables with little hand-drawn place cards she made, proudly spelling out each guest's name. The community buzzed with excitement as word of the event spread, and reservations started coming in. The night of the event arrived, and the restaurant transformed. Twinkling lights adorned the walls, casting a warm glow, while soft jazz played in the background. Families, friends, and old regulars filled the tables, their chatter and laughter filling the air with a joyful hum. Emma took the stage, guitar in hand, her voice trembling with nerves but steadied by the presence of her father's old customers. As she began to play, her passion flowed into each note, capturing the room's attention. Her music filled the space, and for a moment the restaurant felt like a place of magic and dreams. Daniel watched from the back, pride swelling in his chest. He saw Michael, who had returned from his trip just in time, sitting quietly near the front, his eyes glistening as he watched his daughter perform. After the last song, Emma stepped off the stage to a round of applause. Michael approached her, his expression one of wonder. "Emma," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I never realized how talented you are. Thank you for keeping this place alive." Emma hugged him tightly, and Daniel looked away, feeling the weight of his own emotions. He had helped a father and daughter reconnect, and in the process he had found something he had lost hope. The event was a success, and in the days that followed, business slowly began to pick up. People remembered the warmth of Michael's restaurant, the taste of home-cooked meals, and the melody of Emma's voice. The restaurant had come back to life, one customer at a time, and with it, Daniel and Lily found a small, stable refuge. One evening, as they were closing up, Emma turned to Daniel with a grateful smile. "Thank you for everything, Daniel. You didn't just help us save the restaurant. You reminded me of what I love." Daniel smiled back, feeling that perhaps he had found a new family in this humble little restaurant. "And you reminded me of the power of a dream, Emma. Together we turned something ordinary into something magical." And for the first time in a long time, Daniel went to sleep that night feeling at peace, knowing that he had not only provided for Lily but had also found a place where they could both begin to heal. In that small restaurant, surrounded by faded walls and empty tables, the conversation between Daniel and Emma held a spark of possibility. Daniel could feel a renewed sense of purpose as he explained his idea, envisioning a lively place where laughter and excitement filled the air. He imagined families guessing their dishes with playful competition, groups of friends challenging each other to identify ingredients, and newcomers enticed by the mystery. Emma, her eyes twinkling with enthusiasm, added her own thoughts. "We could even add a little twist," she suggested. How about offering small hints? Maybe each table gets a clue that hints at the ingredients or the origin of the dish. It adds a layer of intrigue, something that makes people want to come back to uncover more. Daniel nodded eagerly. Exactly. And we can use the chalkboard to announce these special events. Something like Mystery Monday or Guess the Dish Thursday. The idea is to turn the dining experience into something memorable, something more than just a meal. Lily, who had been lingering nearby, watched the exchange with wide eyes. She had rarely seen her father so animated, and the joy radiating from both Daniel and Emma warmed her heart. Not wanting to miss out, she chimed in with her own excitement. Can I help with the chalkboard? I could draw pictures, like little hints or maybe drawings of food. Emma laughed, reaching over to give Lily a gentle pat on the head. That sounds like a wonderful idea, Lily. We'll make you our official artist. The days that followed were filled with preparations. Daniel and Emma spent their afternoons crafting menus, brainstorming hints, and sketching out chalkboard ideas with Lily's artistic contributions. Emma's father, initially skeptical of Daniel's plans, eventually softened, intrigued by the fresh energy that had filled the place. He'd pop in occasionally to check on their progress, grumbling about expenses, but unable to hide his own curiosity. On the night before the first Mystery Monday, Daniel stayed late to make final adjustments. The restaurant had been cleaned thoroughly, and the tables were set, each adorned with a small card inviting guests to take part in the guessing game. The chalkboard at the entrance displayed a playful message: feeling brave? Guess your dish and dine for free. When Emma returned the next morning, she found Daniel slumped over a table, having fallen asleep in the midst of preparations. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, startling him awake. You've really outdone yourself, Daniel, she said, her voice filled with admiration. I think this will be a turning point for us. He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the drowsiness. I hope so. This place means a lot, not just to you and your family, but to Lily and me too. It's become more than just a restaurant. That evening, the restaurant's atmosphere transformed. Curious locals, intrigued by the concept, trickled in. Laughter echoed as they guessed at their dishes, and cheers erupted when someone guessed correctly. Daniel and Emma worked tirelessly, serving plates and offering hints, their eyes meeting across the room now and then, sharing smiles of satisfaction. For the first time in a long while, the restaurant buzzed with life. Lily, stationed proudly at the chalkboard, welcomed each guest with her bright smile, directing them to the special event. She took her role seriously, occasionally darting over to offer hints or share a joke with the guests. Her joy was infectious, adding to the warmth that filled the room. As the evening drew to a close, Emma joined Daniel at the bar counter, both exhausted but filled with a sense of accomplishment. She handed him a glass of lemonade, a small smile playing on her lips. You did it, Daniel. You brought this place back to life. He looked around, taking in the sight of satisfied customers chatting and finishing their meals. No, he replied softly, meeting her gaze. We did it, Emma, together. The days that followed saw a steady flow of customers, and the restaurant became a local favorite. Word spread and people returned each week, eager for the next mystery dish. The guessing game became a small tradition, and the restaurant's reputation grew, known not just for its food but for the unique experience it offered. Daniel's eyes sparkled with excitement as an idea began to form in his mind. What if we hosted live music nights here at the restaurant? You could perform, Emma. I'm sure people would love to see a familiar face on stage, especially someone as passionate as you. It doesn't have to be anything big, just you and your guitar, something warm and intimate. Emma's cheeks flushed, a mix of fear and exhilaration evident in her expression. Me? Performing live? I don't know, Daniel. I've never done anything like that before. Her voice was shaky, but the idea ignited a flicker of excitement within her. The thought of bringing music into the restaurant, adding a personal touch, felt like the missing piece they'd been searching for. Seeing her hesitation, Daniel softened his tone. Look, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to feel real, something that connects with people. Think of it as a way to bring a bit of yourself into the place. Besides, this could be our unique hook. There are plenty of restaurants, but how many of them offer a chance to hear live, heartfelt music by someone who genuinely cares about the place? Emma considered his words, her mind swirling with possibilities. Music had always been her escape, a way to express her emotions when words failed her. Now that very passion might just be the thing that saved Michael's restaurant. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. Okay, I'll give it a try. But only if you promise to help me get through the nerves. Daniel smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Deal. And you won't be alone. I'll be there every step of the way. With newfound determination, they set to work on the plan. They decided to call it Melodies at Michael's, a weekly event where customers could enjoy a special menu while listening to live music. Emma would be the main act, and perhaps over time they could invite other local musicians to perform as well. The days leading up to the event were a whirlwind of preparation. Daniel handled the logistics, setting up a small stage, adjusting the lighting for a cozy ambience, and arranging the tables for an intimate setting. Meanwhile, Emma spent her free moments practicing songs that she hoped would resonate with the audience. She even put together a small set list of her father's favorite tunes, songs that had always brought comfort to her during challenging times. Finally, the night arrived. Emma stood nervously at the edge of the makeshift stage, her guitar slung over her shoulder, fingers trembling slightly as she looked out at the crowd. To her surprise, the restaurant was packed. The word had spread quickly, and locals had come to see the young woman who was fighting to keep her family's legacy alive. Daniel gave her an encouraging nod from the back of the room, mouthing the words, "You've got this." Emma took a deep breath, her heart pounding, and stepped up to the microphone. She strummed the first few chords, her voice tentative at first, but as she sang, a calm washed over her. The music flowed naturally, filling the room with warmth and nostalgia. As Emma finished her first song, the audience erupted in applause. She looked around, astonished by the smiles and expressions of support. The initial fear melted away, replaced by a sense of belonging and purpose. She continued with her set, each song bringing a new wave of joy and connection. By the end of the night, the crowd was fully captivated, some even singing along with her. When she finished her last song, Emma glanced at Daniel, her face glowing with happiness. He raised his glass in a toast, his eyes shining with pride. The night had been a success, exceeding their expectations. Not only had the event brought in more customers, but it had also created a sense of community around the restaurant. After the last guests had left, Daniel and Emma sat together in the now empty dining area, reflecting on the evening. "You did it," Daniel said, his voice filled with admiration. "You brought this place to life in a way I never could have imagined." Emma blushed, still in disbelief at what she'd just accomplished. "I couldn't have done it without you, Daniel. Your faith in me gave me the courage to try." They sat in comfortable silence, the echoes of the night's music still lingering in the air. Finally, Daniel spoke up, his voice thoughtful. I think we're onto something here. Music nights, game nights. We're giving people a reason to feel at home here, to be a part of something." Emma nodded, a sense of fulfillment settling within her. "It's more than just saving the restaurant now. It's about creating a place where people want to be, where they can come together and share moments that matter." As the two friends cleaned up, they couldn't help but discuss future ideas with renewed excitement. Perhaps they could incorporate a theme night or host open mic events to draw in a diverse crowd. The possibilities were endless, and with each idea, the dream of restoring Michael's restaurant to its former glory felt within reach. In the following weeks, Melodies at Michael's became a staple event, drawing regulars and newcomers alike. The restaurant began to thrive once more, the tables often filled, and the hum of laughter and conversation filling the air. The sense of family and community that Emma and Daniel had cultivated gave the restaurant a heartbeat, a vibrant energy that was impossible to ignore. And so, under the warm glow of string lights and the sound of Emma's voice, Michael's restaurant was reborn. What had started as a simple idea blossomed into a gathering place, a sanctuary where people came not just to eat, but to belong. The journey was far from over, but Emma and Daniel knew that, together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The future was bright, and for the first time in a long while, hope filled their hearts. Daniel and Emma, though coming from different worlds, created an unexpectedly magical evening. As the night settled and the restaurant quieted down, only the sound of footsteps echoed from the kitchen. Daniel had set up a small stage in the storage area of the restaurant, carefully arranging fruit crates as seats for the three of them. Guitar in hand, Daniel smiled encouragingly, his gaze full of trust as he looked at Emma. Emma hesitated, glancing at Daniel and little Lily sitting in front of her, her heart pounding. But the sincere looks from both of them helped calm her nerves. Taking a deep breath, she listened to the gentle strumming of Daniel's guitar as he began a familiar melody. Gradually, Emma let herself flow into each lyric, and her sweet voice filled the small space. The notes seemed to pour into every corner of the room, bringing warmth and peace. Each look from Daniel toward Emma was like a guiding light, making her feel as if she was truly shining for the first time. When the song ended, Emma exhaled with relief as she saw Lily's beaming smile. "You sang so beautifully, Emma. You sounded just like a princess in the movies," Lily exclaimed, her eyes shining with admiration. This was the motivation Emma needed. Smiling, she took Daniel and Lily's hands, her heart brimming with new emotions, feelings she had never dared imagine. From that moment on, they decided to bring music to the restaurant, creating a fresh experience for their guests. The next morning, Daniel's restaurant officially reopened with a new sign: "Live music tonight. Guess the song title to win a free dessert." The banner immediately piqued the curiosity of passers-by, drawing people in not just for a meal but for a cozy, musical experience. Emma stood on the modest stage, singing familiar songs. The customers didn't just listen, they participated in the song guessing challenge, filling the atmosphere with lively energy. Applause and laughter echoed throughout the restaurant, and Daniel's gaze never left Emma whenever he passed by the stage. Each time their eyes met, a gentle smile would appear on Daniel's face, reflecting the deep admiration he felt for Emma. Lily, with her innocent intuition, seemed to notice something as well. She whispered to Daniel as he returned to the kitchen, "You're smiling like that again, Dad. You definitely like Miss Emma, don't you?" Daniel chuckled softly, gently patting Lily's head and quickly returning to his work, though his heart was overflowing with happiness. That evening, the restaurant became more than just a place to dine. It became a place where people connected through music and genuine emotions. Emma not only overcame her fear but also became the focal point, captivating everyone's attention and affection. Meanwhile, Daniel found a new passion in witnessing Emma shine on stage. From a simple idea, they had created a special atmosphere that bonded them closer together and with the customers, who came not only for a meal but to enjoy unforgettable moments. Against the backdrop of the restaurant's newfound success, Michael returned from his trip, feeling a wave of excitement. From a distance, he saw a crowd gathered at the restaurant entrance, a sight he hadn't seen in a long time. The sound of his daughter Emma's voice echoed through the air, enchanting everyone around. The "for sale" sign that once hung on the restaurant's facade had disappeared. As he stepped inside, Michael was even more surprised to see Daniel serving with the confidence and elegance of a seasoned waiter. Impeccably dressed, Daniel's smile radiated happiness. He greeted Michael warmly. "Welcome back. How was the trip? I hope it wasn't too tiring," he said, modestly concealing the hard work behind the restaurant's transformation. Michael, still trying to process what he was seeing, laughed with emotion, letting tears stream down his face. For the first time in what felt like ages, he felt pure joy. "You've done something extraordinary, Daniel. It's like a miracle. I owe you everything," Michael said, his voice choked with gratitude. Wasting no more time, Michael got back to business. "But it looks like there's no time for talk and tears. We have a lot to do." "Let's get back to work," he declared, teaming up with Daniel as if they'd been partners for years. Together, they worked tirelessly, transforming the restaurant into a lively, welcoming place where people could find joy and warmth. It wasn't just a restaurant anymore, it had become a symbol of hope and creativity, a place where even in the darkest times, light could find a way in. At the end of the day, when the restaurant was finally quiet, Michael called Daniel into the storeroom for a private talk. Meanwhile, Emma and Lily enjoyed a quiet moment in the kitchen, savoring the last of the dessert. With boundless gratitude, Michael felt the need to thank Daniel. "I don't know how to thank you enough. You don't know what this means to Emma and me. Tonight wasn't just her shining moment, but yours too," Michael said sincerely. Daniel, ever humble, replied, "With a bit of creativity and everyone's help, especially Emma's, we managed to pull through. I couldn't have done this alone, Mr. Michael." Michael smiled, hearing Daniel acknowledge Emma's role. "Say what you like, but you can't deny how talented you were tonight. You served the customers like a seasoned pro, and they were clearly happy. You've shown yourself to be a fantastic waiter and cook." Then, the conversation took an unexpected turn. Michael's expression turned serious as he looked at Daniel. "But I hope you'll be as good a son-in-law as you are a worker. Or did you think I didn't notice the looks you two exchanged?" he said, a remark that left Daniel blushing in surprise, feeling both happiness and embarrassment. I don't know what to say," Daniel stammered, laughing nervously. After that day, everyone's lives took an unexpected turn. Michael's observation about Daniel and Emma's connection proved true. Not long after Michael's return, Daniel proposed to Emma. Her enthusiastic acceptance surprised no one, not Lily nor Michael, who had seen this coming. Their wedding took place 2 months later. During this time, Daniel became not just a part of the restaurant team, but a partner in Emma's dreams for the future. Their teamwork, rooted in respect and shared passion, helped them save enough to buy a home. Lily, who had become an inseparable part of their lives, was thrilled to learn she would soon have a younger sibling. The arrival of a new family member added fresh meaning to an already powerful story of unity and perseverance. Over the years, the restaurant didn't just stay successful but expanded into a well-known franchise across the city. Daniel's creativity, combined with Michael's unwavering dedication and Emma's steadfast support, turned the restaurant into a symbol of resilience, hope, and success. Their small family, with its music, the unforgettable taste of the dishes, and the love they shared, became a source of inspiration for everyone who visited. They were a living testament to the power of love and unity, a reminder that with shared dreams, anything is possible.